Well, if you watch the show, you know that the calendar may say 2025, but it is a busy month in the 2028 presidential shadow primary. You're never not worrying about the presidential race. California Governor Gavin Newsom wrapped up a rural outreach tour a long way from home in South Carolina earlier this week. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear and Congressman Ro Khanna of California will be making trips to the Palmetto State, which I think hosts an early primary there for the presidential race. Other early primary states, Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar will be making her second trip to New Hampshire in as many months tomorrow. And Arizona Senator Ruben Gallego teased an August trip to the Iowa State Fair. Will Iowa even be relevant? Joining me now with more is Amy Walter, the publisher and editor-in-chief of the Cook Political Report, who's always thinking about the presidential election. We're lucky to have you here, Amy. So it seems like the shadow primary already kicking into gears. Yes. Anybody kind of standing out right now?
I think that the governors are trying to get themselves into position right now where they look like the front runners. Obviously, Gavin Newsom going to South Carolina, but he has been out front for months now, trying to position himself as the national sort of voice for Democrats. J.B. Pritzker from the governor of Illinois announced he's running for a third term, but in his announcement, he talked a lot about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He talked a lot about Illinois, too, but he also talked a lot about Donald Trump. So I think those folks are positioning themselves. Pete Buttigieg has also been availing himself of many national platforms, especially those podcasts. But, Ryan, you know as well as anybody, what matters more than anything is how voters are feeling as we get into 2027, more than how they're feeling in 25. What I'm watching for is not where they are going, but where candidates who are up in 25 and 26, the Democratic candidates up in 2025 and 26, who are they asking to come and stump with them? Are they going to bring some of these high-profile governors? Are they going to bring AOC and Bernie Sanders to campaign for them in the swing states where we know the race for control of Congress will be won and lost?
There was a fundraising number that really caught my eye, and I honestly kind of not thought about Cory Booker in the vein as a presidential candidate. That kind of changed when he gave that long speech on the House, on the Senate floor, and now he posts a major fundraising number. Should he be part of this conversation?
I'm sure everybody in the United States Senate who's a Democrat should be part of this conversation. I mean, this is a deep pool. And in a large reason that we have such a deep pool, right, it's because 2024 should have actually been the time where a lot of these candidates got an opportunity to show their stuff to a broader electorate. There is pent-up demand from Democratic candidates and voters to go out there and sell a vision of who the Democratic Party is and what it wants to do going forward.
And do you think it's going to be a question about the vision, or is it going to be about the personality of these candidates? Because right now it seems the Democrats are struggling with both, trying to find a message that resonates along with the messenger that can best sell that message.
Well, that's true. I think at this point, though, the vision thing, as I think it was George W. Bush or George H.W. Bush was credited with saying, it becomes super, super important because I remember going into the 2020 campaign, what Democratic voters were the most concerned about was beating Donald Trump. That was priority number one. So the vision and the issues and even the personality didn't matter as much as who was the most winnable. By now, I think it's pretty clear that what Democratic voters are upset about is they don't really know who the Democratic Party is and what it stands for.
So I remember flying out of Iowa in 2020, covering the Bernie Sanders campaign after they had bungled that mess there, thinking Democrats will never come back here to start their presidential campaign. But maybe they will. Quickly, what's happening there?
Here's what's going to matter. Do Democrats do well in the midterm elections in Iowa? They've got a Senate race, there's a gubernatorial race that's competitive, and a number of House races. If they do well, Democrats that is, you're going to have a lot of Democrats saying, maybe we should put Iowa back on the map.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.